Please leave the building by the nearest exit. Do not use the elevators.
Obviously a major malfunction.
As workers in the World Trade Center, this is a sound none of us wants to hear. But if we don't listen to it, if we don't heed the alarm, our lives and the lives of the people we work with could be in danger. There are redundant electrical feeds and backup power generators to provide lighting in affected areas. Backing up the backups are battery-powered lights in stairwells and elevators. Phosphorescent strips help illuminate staircases and other important areas. An engine company and a ladder company are based just across Liberty Street from the Trade Center. The Fire Command Station in the lobby of each building of the World Trade Center provides the vital communications link between the floor fire safety team and the Port Authority Police, the New York City Fire Department, and other emergency response personnel. The Deputy Fire Safety Directors monitor stairwells and corridors and supervise the vertical patrol guards who are constantly moving on to the staircases. First, the discovery by someone on your floor. Immediately call 435-3540.
Port Authority Police, Officer Smith.
Hello, this is Mary Jones. I'd like to report a fire on my floor.
What floor are you on?
The 23rd floor, Building 1.
Where exactly on the floor are you?
The northeast corner.
What do you see?
I see smoke coming out of the copy room.
Do you see flames?
No, but I see lots of smoke.
Okay, get everyone out of the area and out into the corridor. I'll notify the fire department, the fire command station, and the emergency response team.
For the fire department, it was truly their finest hour. Thousands of people are alive today because of the professionalism and tenacity that was shown in that first hour by New York's bravest. Chief Kenneth Soretta of Manhattan Borough Command said it best.
Although much deserved credit is being given to those who rescued, removed, and evacuated people from the towers, the key to this entire operation was the extinguishment of the fires burning in the sub-basement levels. Without the valiant efforts of these units that operated disregarding the possibility of secondary collapses, secondary explosions, operating in extremely dangerous conditions, the smoke condition would have continued, gotten worse, and greatly hampered the efforts of the removal operations above.
At the time of their completion, the Twin Towers, the original One World Trade Center, the North Tower at 1,368 feet, and Two World Trade Center, the South Tower, were the tallest buildings in the world. The other buildings in the complex included the Marriott World Trade Center, 3WTC, 4WTC, 5WTC, 6WTC, and 7WTC. All of these buildings were built between 1972 and 1987 with a construction cost of $400 million, equivalent to $3,100 million in 2026 dollars. The complex was located in New York City's financial district and contained 13,400,000 square feet of office space. The World Trade Center experienced a fire on February 13th, 1975, a bombing on February 26, 1993, and a robbery on January 14, 1998. In 1998, the Port Authority decided to privatize the World Trade Center, leasing the buildings to a private company to manage, and awarded the lease to Silverstein Properties on July 24, 2001. The term Ground Zero originally referred to the hypocenter of the Trinity test in Jornada del Muerto Desert near Sapporo, New Mexico, and the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan. The United States Strategic Bombing Survey of the Atomic Attacks, released in June 1946, used the term liberally, defining it as, for convenience, the term Ground Zero will be used to designate the point on the ground, directly beneath the point of detonation, or Air Zero.
A short time ago, an American airplane dropped one bomb on Hiroshima and destroyed its usefulness to the enemy. That bomb has more power than 20,000 tons of TNT. The Japanese began the war from the air at Pearl Harbor. They have been repaid many-fold, and the end is not yet. With this bomb, we have now added a new and revolutionary increase in destruction.
William Lawrence, an embedded reporter with the Manhattan Project, reported that Zero was the code name given to the spot chosen for the Trinity test, 1945. During the Cold War, the Pentagon, headquarters of the United States Department of Defense in Arlington County, Virginia, was an assured target in the event of nuclear war. The open space in the center of the Pentagon became known informally as Ground Zero. A snack bar that used to be located at the center of this open space was nicknamed Cafe Ground Zero. During the September 11 attacks in 2001, 2 aircraft were hijacked by 10 Al-Qaeda terrorists and were flown into the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center, causing massive damage and starting fires that caused the weakened 110-story skyscrapers to collapse. Ramzi Yousef quickly looked up at the black and white TV above his head, eyes wide at the sight of the North Tower burning, amazed himself at the execution of his plan.
In the building, please leave the building.
Oh my God, it's exploding. I just got it on video. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. It is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life, Mom. It's like the end of the world.
The attacks elicited a large response of local emergency and rescue personnel to assist in the evacuation of the two towers, resulting in a catastrophic loss of the same personnel when the towers fell.
Attention 68 engine, 35 engine, 50 engine, 64 engine, 94 engine, 83 engine.
Yusuf, the master terrorist, saw it as the culmination of a dream and the end to some unfinished business. He dropped to the floor, bent over, and gave thanks. Praise Allah, the merciful and the just, the Lord of the worlds. We thank you for delivering this message to the apostates.
There's been a major collapse in the tower. The command center out here, everybody has... It was a major collapse. I'm in my rig right now. But we notified them that there's a major collapse in the area. Well, everybody in the area had to warn. I don't know if the field copter is available. Can anybody hear me? I'm a civilian. I'm trapped inside of one of the fire trucks underneath. The collapse that just happened. Stand by. There's people close to you. I can't breathe much longer. Save me. I'm in a can't-be truck.
Hey, person transmitting the Mayday. Where are you, Kate?
I just told you. If you look at the World Trade Center, there's the North Pedestrian Bridge. I think it collapsed when that partial building just collapsed. I was on the street. I don't have much air. Please, help me. 82 I copy that. I'm going to go look for it.
10-4. Manhattan Field Com, urgent case.
I can feel me. Please send somebody.
Okay, the person calling for help. Listen to me. You need to calm down and relax. Stand by. We do have somebody on the way. You maintain air. Get off the air. We do have somebody on the way over to you. You to remain calm. 10-4.
10-4. I'm in the cab of the truck.
10-4. We do have people on the way over there. Manhattan Field Com, urgent case.
4-3 Manhattan.
Stand by. Manhattan Field Com, urgent.
You should evacuate the area and get away from the scene. Right now, police have to determine if...
Oh my God, the whole World Trade Center just imploded and went down. The whole building's gone.
It's just gone.
It's gone, and people are in there.
Oh, yeah.
Not anymore.
Hopefully they were out.
Nah, no way. No way they got out.
That entire building with fire going.
No way.
Yeah, oh my God.
There's no thought.
Howard, and I'll tell you what, first second I hear on the news that it has anything to do with a towelhead or a dot-head bastard, I'm going to go out there and start going to those Arab stores and I'm going to start kicking.
No, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. Don't say that, Zola.
So, hey, I implore all Americans to get your arms together, baby. Get out there on the streets and go to your local freaking delis with them.
All right, I got it. He's just upset.
I understand, but he's an idiot.
Watch the people, Danny. Incredible. How long
Danny, call 5 to command post. 131 Shelford, 131 Irons. 282 to control. Negative. Control for the 4 Sulphur. We're at North End and Vissy. I want the units to come in and be attacked. Holy shit. Your response down to the World Trade Center is to maintain radio communication and advise Manhattan Dispatch what exactly is going on, Kate. We are unable to make any kind of communication. What the fuck is this? 416. To the right,
area. There are firefighters and there are police trying to evacuate the area as quickly as possible. People who are near the area are in an absolute frenzied situation. The entire top of the building just collapsed. You can see the plume of smoke is coming in our direction. Let's get out of here, Ralph. We're going to leave because the smoke is coming right at us.
Obviously, this is a devastating moment.
The World Trade Center is no more.
Rita! 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 Rita!
Soon after the attacks, the media termed the World Trade Center site Ground Zero, while rescue personnel referred to it as either the Big Mama or most commonly, the Pile.
All right, come forward. It's on top of the pile.
The search and rescue effort in the immediate aftermath at the Pile involved iron workers, structural engineers, heavy machinery operators, asbestos workers, boiler makers, carpenters, cement masons, construction managers, electricians, insulators, machinists, plumbers and pipe fitters, riggers, sheet metal workers, steel workers, truckers, teamsters, American Red Cross volunteers, and many others.
And I guess one must say, as the experts we interviewed said, and so many people are saying all over the networks all day today, that this is war. This is terrorist war.
Appreciate that. Again, Barbara Olson,
Then we may very well want to do that. A lot would depend on what we find out.
National tragedy. For more information, please turn to your TV news channel. In light of these events, QVC will be temporarily suspending its broadcast.
You can help. Call 1-800-448-3543 to donate blood.
Rescue 3, we're heading to West Street. Billy Ryan. What's the name of the street? The house is on. What's the name of the street that 10 and 10 is on? Thank you. 65655.
News media!
Not the media.
Any medical aid.
You got it, pal.
Daily News, I got a job for you. What? You got no equipment. I'm not doing the radio. All right, all civilians. Volunteers, news media, we need to scavenge the vehicles. First day and end on pool.
Lower Manhattan, south of 14th Street, was off limits except for rescue and recovery workers. There were about 400 working dogs, the largest deployment of dogs in the nation's history.
Have the resources on the Brooklyn side come over. 177 North Broadway, 25 truck, on 154. 154, 10-4. Is the Trevor Bridge open? At this time, 154, so far the North Tube of the Midtown Tunnel is secure for vehicles. 25, 359. Numerous units quiet. Stand by and let Sergeant. 165 acting 18. We're going to right 18. Stop there. Yeah, tell the guys, hold off on charging that line. Ears off until we start the feedback.
The United States will hunt down and punish those responsible for these cowardly acts.
New York City Office of Emergency Management was the agency responsible for coordination of the city's response to the attacks. Headed by then Director Richard Shearer, the agency was forced to vacate its headquarters, located in 7 World Trade Center, within hours of the attack. The building later collapsed.
Get enough of this building. Fire in this building. It's a surreal environment. It's almost impossible to describe. Except to make the whole correlation. It certainly looks like that.
What we're doing now is going up to get medical supplies, to bring down trauma physicians down here, to set up the surgical unit and the triage unit down here, in addition to, if anybody out there can help, any vendors who have food or supplies. The firemen have no food, nothing but snacks. They need fluids, they need water, and they need protein foods. This is just the beginning of what they're facing. And we need masks. We need TB masks. Holy shit! What is it?
OEM re-established operations temporarily at the police academy, where Mayor Rudy Giuliani gave many press conferences throughout the afternoon and evening of September 11th. Volunteers quickly descended upon the pile to help in the rescue and recovery efforts. At Jacob Javits Convention Center, thousands showed up to offer help, where they registered with authorities. Construction projects around the city came to a halt as workers walked off the jobs to lend assistance at the pile.
Drop off rescue. Guys, put up the American flag. 7-8. It's incredible. Way down there. Climb up the ladder and put up the American flag.
Hello, Manhattan.
What do you want?
Quite simply, as we begin our 11 o'clock edition of Eyewitness News, the unthinkable happened today. The World Trade Center, both towers gone, and we are all witnesses to it, and to some degree we are all victims. Tonight, there are survivors trapped in that rubble. Mayor Giuliani confirmed it less than an hour ago. How many, we do not know. Our reporters, as you've seen, have been on the streets all day. We begin with Jim Dolan. He is in the newsroom with the latest for us. Jim?
Bill, it was devastating as it unfolded, but only now, hours later, under the harsh lights of rescue vehicles, is the true, horrifying breadth of the terror becoming clear. Before it is over, the casualty figures will be numbing, and few in the city will be untouched by what happened today. So often in the past, we've been able to say, it could have been worse. Tonight, this time, it's hard to imagine how. At Ground Zero, where terror ruled the morning, rescue workers control the night. They are working now, they will work into the day and beyond, searching for victims and combing through the debris, looking for answers. There are precious few of those tonight.
We just had a long meeting with all of the agencies to make sure they have the support that they need. They'll all reassemble here.
Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
Under attack, the first hijacked airliner slammed into the first tower of the World Trade Center shortly before 9. And then, moments later, a second 767 as the world looked on in horror on live television, slammed into the nation's premier symbol of American capitalism and economic might. But this day was far from over. In time, the Pentagon, the premier symbol of American military might, would be attacked as well. And the Twin Towers would then collapse, first one and then the other, a brutal orgy of terror and grief that the president tonight vowed to avenge.
This was the World Trade Center. The work is far from over. A battle they have already lost.
Too many good friends we lost. Too many. So many. It's unbelievable.
Early estimates are grim. Hundreds of firefighters killed. And even with that and the obvious emotion, they stay and struggle to find some sense of peace. They know that is impossible now.
You know, you feel useless. You're down there and you really can't see much. You don't know what's going on.
And there are people trapped, laying under the rubble. A triage center set up here to treat the injured, closed early because so many people never even made it out.
Just went ba-boom, it was like a bomb went off. And it was like holy hell coming down them stairs.
And what's so frightening tonight is that the mayor and Bernard Kerik, New York City Police Commissioner, now say there are people underneath that rubble, literally trapped alive. The priority now is getting to them, and they will spend all night doing it, pouring as many lights as they can onto the scene, trying to rescue the survivors. And it's unclear now how many of them there are.
Tell me what you saw. Stop and talk to us. Where were you?
Top of the roof of 25 Park Place. Me and a super. Heard the loud noise from a jet. We look up and we see this big jet, like a 737 or a 720.
It was a 757?
About that, it was a big jet.
Yeah.
We saw it come, just looking like it sideways. At first, we thought it was just going to try to miss it. Bang! Right into the middle of it, like around the 70th floor. And then, a half hour later, we see the second one bang into it.
What's going through your mind when you see this happen?
You see bodies flying out of the sky, and you can't do nothing about it. You tell me. You tell me what you think. I mean, my heart's in my mouth. I mean, I pray for these people. There's no words to describe what's going on out there. I mean, you see bodies just coming a half hour later, still coming out of the goddamn sky. Devastating. Devastating. I can't imagine anything worse than this.
We moved a lot of lights in so that the area is being lit now, so that I don't think the rescue effort is going to be hampered by the darkness. The rescue effort is hampered by the fact that there's still fire there, There are still unsound structures, and it's still dangerous. Yes, we lost the deputy chief of the fire department and the chief of the department. The chief of the fire department. The first deputy commissioner.
There's still hope that there are people who are still alive and well.
Yes, there's hope. There's hope that there are people that are still alive. People tonight should say a prayer for the people that we've lost, and be grateful that we're all here. And tomorrow, New York is going to be here, and we're going to rebuild, and we're going to be stronger than we were before.
New York City Mayor Rudolph Giuliani on an exceptionally difficult day.
It's got to be. I can't imagine. You know, everybody on the plane must have died. The floor, I got friends of mine on 104th floor, friends on other buildings. I just spoke to one of my friends a half hour prior to that, getting ready to go upstairs to go to work. It's devastating. I mean, I've seen a lot of construction accidents. I've seen a lot of bad things happen. I've never seen a jet fall out of the sky into a building, no less once, but twice. Devastating. Devastating. I mean, it's overwhelming. There's nothing that can describe it. Nothing.
What's your name?
My name's Artie Foreman.
All right, Artie. Thank you.
No problem.
Lawrence Larry Eagleburger. Talk for a minute, Mr. Eagleburger, and tell us what you think after what you've seen.
Well, I think, first of all, we need to understand, if I know my American history, this probably will be the largest casualty rate in one day in the U.S. in our history. The Battle of Antietam stood that record before. I think this is likely to exceed that. We have to act against terrorism as if we were at war. That's easy to say, but I really do believe it.
Well, what do you mean by that, Mr. Eagleburger? And I don't think anybody expects you to say anything other than that this evening.
I hope they do. If it's Osama bin Laden, so be it. That leads me immediately to say that Afghanistan and the Afghani government has a responsibility that is at least as great as Osama bin Laden's. And that means, I think, we must take military action against them. And we must do this, I think, against those states that we understand and see are responsible for these terrorists as much as the terrorists themselves, and that means taking military action against a number of states if in fact we have any solid evidence, not that they necessarily did this attack, but that they are those who husband and mother and support terrorist activities in general.
Mr. Eagleburger, I hear you being very careful about trying to establish blame first, and I expect that from a man of your stature. Talk a little bit about Afghanistan. Afghanistan has been in a country in absolute turmoil, just riddled with violence for more than a decade, and the United States was party to that in many cases. What could the United States do now to a government in Afghanistan that would make life any worse for them than it is already?
By destroying that government, or by destroying the infrastructure of that government.
You do mean, I gather then, among other things, attacking the capital of Afghanistan, Kabul,
yes.
where the Taliban,
yes,
from which the Taliban rules, and perhaps a city like Kandahar, large city in the south.
If necessary, we think it will make the point.
Cities.
Sir?
Full-scale attacks on Afghanistan.
I would do it. Now, look, I understand. I'm one person saying this, and everyone else will be horrified by it. But the point I'm trying to make here is, I think we now need to understand that this is a war. We will have lost some tens of thousands of people, I suspect.
I mean neither to agree nor disagree with you.
When you fight a war, that is what you do.
Okay, now tell us how difficult it is.
Very. You mean to do this?
Yes.
It would be very difficult. There is no question about that. And I am not, for heaven's sake, built to fight bigger battles than this most of the time. Maybe we need to take some lessons from the Israelis, but I do think we can be restructured. Restructured is even too strong. I think we can put together the kinds of forces that would make this possible without an awful lot of difficulty.
Well, I appreciate your time. This is precisely the debate. Thank you very much for coming in.
Shit, what the hell are you doing? I'm banging that girl. Oh!
In 1976, Steve Buscemi took the FDNY civil service test when he was just 18 years old. In 1980, Steve Buscemi became a New York City firefighter. For 4 years, Buscemi served on one of FDNY's busiest, Engine Company 55, in Manhattan's Little Italy. He later left the fire service to become a successful actor, writer, and director.
Hi, Homer. I'm actor Steve Buscemi.
The guy who got fed into the wood chipper in Fargo?
After 9/11/2001, Steve Buscemi returned to FDNY Engine 55 on September 12th, and for several days following, Steve Buscemi worked 12-hour shifts alongside other firefighters, digging and sifting through the rubble of the World Trade Center, looking for survivors. Very few photographs and no interviews exist because he declined them. He wasn't there for the publicity. In 2003, he also gave a speech at a union rally supporting higher wages for firefighters and to stop firehouses from closing. He got arrested along with other firefighters.
Oh my God! I guess you think you're, like an authority figure? That stupid fucking uniform, huh, buddy? King clip-on tie there, big fucking man, huh?
Shards of glass, plaster dumped up to 5, 6, 7 stories high on the south side of the buildings here for us.
Look, I understand that there is intelligence information that was available within the previous months indicating that Osama bin Laden's people were receiving flight training in aviation operations.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not kidding.
Where'd that come from?
I can't go into that.
They receive flight training, so for example, if the theory is true that they chose deliberately 757s and 767s, even though they're vastly different aircraft, they have the same manufacturer and almost the same flight deck.
The fact of the matter is we already have evidence from trial. It's not alleged, it's proven that he was involved with the bombing of the U.S. embassies in Africa. 2 individuals that have killed 80% of all Americans that have died in international terrorism before today. One of those individuals, Imad Mughniya, security chief of Hezbollah. The other individual, Osama bin Laden. Those 2 individuals were meeting in 1993. That evidence also came out in the bombing trials.
Or their weapons aboard planes, either through passenger screening or by going unscreened through locked doors into off-limits areas or onto the tarmac. Periodic FAA tests have found plenty of flaws. Found when government agents tried to sneak into secure areas, they were successful more than 2/3 of the time.
Meantime, Brian, there's some unconfirmed reports. We spoke about chilling reports of what's been going on in the cockpits, what was at the time. One report from a controller in New Hampshire who says that a pilot in that first flight that was hijacked, the American airliner out of Logan, that the pilot had his finger down on the microphone and would key it in the open position, and that the controller believes he heard one of the hijackers say in English, "Don't do anything foolish."
Bucky, we have some claims. Just stay quiet and you'll be okay. We're turning to the airport. Nobody move. Everything will be okay. If you try to make any move, you'll danger yourself and the airplane. Just stay quiet.
We have a very instant almost familiarity with this man, Muhammad Atta, in Florida.
Mr. Atta and his companion, his accomplice, were training to be pilots in Venice, Florida, went on to take jet training lessons. Atta was on board American Flight 11, the first plane that crashed into the World Trade Center. His accomplice was on United Flight 175, the second plane.
Just stay quiet. Nobody move, please. We're going back to the airport. Don't try to make any stupid moves.
Yeah, they changed the value.
The heck was that?
Is that the Encore?
Wow. It sounded like something crashed.
No, something crashed. Lord. That's the airplane that I just saw taking off.
but this is the World Trade Center, upside down.
That's the airline seat?
I would imagine so.
Try to get you another company, so 3 should be 10-4. We're up right in front. All right, we'll meet you there. Chief Home to Division 6. Yeah, Chief, I'm getting reports from the SU that buildings 4 and 5 on Church Street are unstable and they shifted. Bucket to 163 bucket. 163 to the 4-4?
That building was burned yesterday.
I got one. And what's that building, Alpha?
I can't see it, but one of the...
8 Alpha was calling us? That's affirmative. Engine 224 to 8 Alpha. Hey, 4, engine 5 on the bottom. Division 6, the ladder 29. 29. Yeah, where are you over there? Were you guys protecting those boys? Full action in yourself. Manifold to 47. Come on. And ball 166.
Yeah, I'm down in the hole.
Ball 1 Lieutenant Supervisor. Operation going to take the bridge down. We'll be there in a minute.
The New York City Department of Design and Construction oversaw the recovery efforts. Beginning on September 12th, the Structural Engineers Association of New York became involved in the recovery efforts, bringing in experts to review the stability of the rubble, evaluate safety of hundreds of buildings near the pile, and designing support for the cranes brought in to clear the debris. The City of New York hired the engineering firm LZA Thornton Tomasetti to oversee the structural engineering operations at the site.
We thought, to be perfectly honest, we would be shocked by what we saw, and we can only assume that we've seen so much since Tuesday, we are temporarily shocked out. In fact, as we came around the southern tip of the island and started to move in closer, it was almost a sense of awe. Awe at the audaciousness of the plan, awe at the evil brilliance of the plan, awe at the power that those two jet bombs, fully loaded wide-body jets, their power to destroy. There's a huge hole in the middle. And I'll venture a guess here, and it's only that as one of the two towers came tumbling down, it crashed on top of what I believe was building number 5 of the World Trade Center complex. as we say, the cliches turn out in many ways to be true, it does look like Mount St. Helens in an urban setting erupted.
I apologize, but we must interrupt now to listen to the Attorney General, which of course we wish to do.
Many, and we don't know how many yet, never made it out of the buildings. Even as we continue to hold out hope that more of these brave Americans will be found alive, it is my duty as Attorney General to begin to process the provision of relief to the families of public safety officers who sacrificed so that others might survive the attacks of September the 11th. As airports reopen and as travel is resumed, there will be substantially increased security presence, on the ground at designated security checkpoints throughout the country. Our nation calls on us in times like this to be at our best. If we are to prevail in difficult times like this, we must be at our best. Since Tuesday, the Justice Department has received reports of violence and threats of violence against Arab Americans and other Americans of Middle Eastern and South Asian descent. We must not descend to the level of those who perpetrated Tuesday's violence by targeting individuals based on race, religion, or national origin.
To make the effort more manageable, the pile was divided into 4 quadrants, or zones. Each zone was assigned a lead contractor and a team of 3 structural engineers, subcontractors, and rescue workers. AMEC for the North Tower along West Street, Bovis Lend Lease for the South Tower along Liberty Street, Tully Construction Company, Inc. for the eastern portion of the WTC site, and Turner Plaza Construction Joint Venture for the northern portion and 7 World Trade Center. Numerous volunteers organized to form bucket brigades, which passed 5-gallon buckets full of debris down a line to investigators, who sifted through the debris in search of evidence and human remains.
Not bad from here. The porta potty's out the back. Yeah, you can go first.
There's one thing I gotta know. How'd you stay with me all day, risking your butt for someone who's never given you anything but trouble?
I know what it's like to try and rebuild a life. I had a bad day too, once.
After the attacks on 9/11, we were getting all these, hundreds of meals ready. And this one guy, in the middle of the night, like 3 nights into this, he goes, "So my day job is I'm an architect." He says, "What's your day job?" I said, "Well, I do voices mostly." But I knew it! He said, "You're the guy who does Batman." Guys, you're not gonna believe who's been cooking your dinners. It's Batman! There's this long silence and you hear, "Bullshit! I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman!" There's this long pause and then you hear from the back of the place, "Holy f***, that is Batman!" And suddenly people were laughing.
Today, September 19th, we are celebrating the anniversary of our earthquake in Mexico in 1985. So, this is Noble salute for our dead people and the New York City dead people.
Why'd you come here?
To get the American people and to tell them that the Mexican people is living in the car, the pain that the American people got now in the car.
Hector Mendez from the Chino.
Yeah, this thing.
Iron workers helped cut steel beams into more manageable sizes for removal. Much of the debris was hauled off to the Fresh Kills landfill on Staten Island, where it was further searched and sorted. Hazards at the World Trade Center site included a diesel fuel tank buried 7 stories below. Approximately 2,000 automobiles that had been in the parking garage also presented a risk, with each containing, on average, at least 5 U.S. gallons of gasoline. Once recovery workers reached down to the parking garage level, they found some cars that had exploded and burned.
Got some decent shots. Right now we're on B3. Obviously, there's maybe levels still down. Well, we're on 4 to 6 levels. 6 levels. It's 20 something feet more down below. You're on a third. Third, I'm sorry. So it's 30 something feet down.
The story wall is directly behind the piece of street story wall. And this is the northern edge of the crater, which was the custom shack.
Well, after the car fires went out, we brought units in and we searched all this as much as we could. Music guys climb down in there and Ed. Yeah. One second. Go back. All right. Take the phone back. Here we go. You can't get here. What is it?
You get sprayed? I don't know.
The United States Customs Service, which was housed in 6 World Trade Center, had 1.2 million rounds of ammunition and weapons in storage in a 3rd-floor vault to support their firing range. Yeah, their firing range.
Thank you all very much for your hospitality. We've just had a wide-ranging discussions on the matter at hand. Like the good folks standing with me, the American people were appalled and outraged at last Tuesday's attacks. And so were Muslims all across the world. Both Americans, our Muslim friends and citizens, tax-paying citizens, and Muslims in nations were just appalled and could not believe what we saw on our TV screens. These acts of violence against innocents violate the fundamental tenets of the Islamic faith. And it's important for my fellow Americans to understand that. The English translation is not as eloquent as the original Arabic, but let me quote from the Quran itself. In the long run, evil in the extreme will be the end of those who do evil. For that they rejected the signs of Allah and held them up to ridicule. The face of terror is not the true faith of Islam. That's not what Islam is all about. Islam is peace. These terrorists don't represent peace. They represent evil and war.
For more than 2 weeks after the attacks, the rescue dogs continued their search, working 12-hour days for an average of 10 days straight. Many of these dogs suffered cuts, scrapes, heat exhaustion, and burns during their search. with most of the rescue dogs and their handlers being trained to rescue live survivors. Many of these dogs quickly started showing signs of depression after only finding dead body after dead body. Several handlers began to stage mock find rescues for the dogs to lift their spirits.
See if we can send something.
Tim, it's Tim, right? Bob what?
Deeds.
How do you spell your last name?
D-E-E-D-S, like good deeds.
Okay. And the animal is who?
This is Kinsey. It's K-I-N-Z-I-E.
Hey, Kinsey. Is Kinsey a cadaver animal?
No, she does live fire only. We're still looking for live people.
Bob, how will Kinsey determine, how does Kinsey tell you that she's found something?
She'll mark and hold. She'll stay at the position where she gets set, and she'll stop there and she'll mark until I get there.
Your animal is who?
Cholo. Cholo.
Jolo? Is Jolo a multi-purpose animal or?
Live finds.
Well, the other guys have boots. We've got them. Okay, we just have.
Now, does she live with you?
See the situation.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Certain situations, it's worse for worse.
The hundreds of rescue dogs also did a job that they weren't even trained to do: lift the spirits of the other rescue workers. The first canine on the scene was Apollo and his handler, Peter Davis, arriving only 15 minutes after the attack. Apollo was a German Shepherd serving on the New York Police Department. During Apollo's search, he was nearly killed by flames and falling debris. Luckily, right before the incident, Apollo had fallen into a pool of water and was drenched. Being wet saved him from being burned. After his handler removed the debris, Apollo went right back to searching. Apollo would later help out during a hurricane in the Dominican Republic. Apollo died in November of 2006 at the estimated age of 13 to 14. Riley was a golden retriever trained in search and rescue of still living victims, but like almost all the rescue dogs, Riley only recovered bodies his entire time at Ground Zero. With Riley getting depressed with not finding survivors, his handler did his best to encourage and tell him he was doing a great job. Riley was successful in another job, though. He provided comfort to those around him, often receiving hugs from firefighters and police officers searching nearby. Riley went on to live a long life, though he did suffer from some skin conditions sustained from the 9/11 rescue mission, dying at the age of 13 from cancer. Tracker was a German Shepherd born in Prague that traveled down from Nova Scotia, Canada, to help search and rescue at the pile. On September 14th, Tracker collapsed from chemical and smoke inhalation, burns, and exhaustions. He was treated with intravenous fluids and recovered. In his later years, Tracker suffered from degenerative myelopathy and lost the use of his rear legs, likely a result of chemical and smoke inhalation during the 9/11 surge. Tracker was sent to hospice and was outfitted with a cart so that he could continue to move around using his front legs. He died in April 2009 at the estimated age of 14 to 15. Tracker's DNA was used to create 5 clone puppies named Trust, Solace, Valor, Prodigy, and Deja Vu. All 5 puppies went on to be trained as search and rescue dogs. Brittany worked at the pile for 10 days, along with her handler, Denise Corliss. After 9/11, Brittany would go on to help during Hurricane Rita, Katrina, and Ivan. After retiring from search and rescue, she went on to work at a local elementary school as a reading dog, giving shy students someone to read to. She died on June 6, 2016, at the age of 16.
When we think of Islam, we think of a faith that brings comfort to 1 billion people around the world. Billions of people find comfort and solace in peace. And that's made brothers and sisters out of every race, out of every race. America counts millions of Muslims amongst our citizens. And Muslims make an incredibly valuable contribution to our country. Muslims are doctors, lawyers, law professors, members of the military, entrepreneurs, shopkeepers, moms and dads, and they need to be treated with respect. In our anger and emotion, our fellow Americans must treat each other with respect. Women who cover their heads in this country must feel comfortable going outside their homes. Moms who wear cover must not be intimidated in America. That's not the America I know. That's not the America I value. I've been told that some fear to leave. Some don't want to go shopping for their families. Some don't want to go about the ordinary daily routines because by wearing cover, they're afraid they'll be intimidated. That should not and that will not stand in America. Those who feel like they can intimidate our fellow citizens to take out their anger, they don't represent the best of America. They represent the worst of humankind. And they should be ashamed of that kind of behavior. Now, this is a great country. It's a great country because we share the same values of respect and dignity and human worth. And it is my honor to be meeting with leaders who feel just the same way I do. They're outraged, they're sad, they love America just as much as I do. And I want to thank you all for giving me a chance to come by, and may God bless us all. Thank you.
You have one of the landmark buildings down in the financial district, 40 Wall Street. Did you have any damage, or did you know what's happened down there?
Well, it was an amazing phone call I made. 40 Wall Street actually was the second tallest building in downtown Manhattan, and it was actually, before the World Trade Center, was the tallest. And then when they built the World Trade Center, it became known as the second tallest, and now it's the tallest.
I wonder what George Bush is going to do now. No, it's about time to fucking wake up and fucking stop fucking with other people and stop fucking with us. Evil.
I heard about a third grade teacher who yesterday tried to explain to her third grade class what was happening and why so many people were so concerned. And after it was all over, she wasn't too graphic about it, but she was quite particular with these, well, they would have been maybe 10 and 11-year-olds. And when it was all over, one little girl said to her, "Whew, I am so relieved. I thought you were going to tell us that we had lice." She was so concerned that because it happens, some of these children have very long hair, and some schools develop lice, and she was so afraid that she was going to be sent home.
That was her biggest problem in the world up until then.
Exactly.
We have 5 members and friends of the family who are still missing.
Including 2 mothers who have not come home.
Both have two children in the sort of 9, 10, 12, 14 age range.
From the street in front of the church, he watched the towers collapse.
I've never seen anything so horrible. It took the wind out of me. It couldn't be any more of a face of the devil than was there. looking up Fifth Avenue at us.
Oh my God!
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! All these people! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God!
Oh, it's awful.
Oh baby, hold Lily. Oh my God!
Come on, let's go to the other room.
Yeah.
God.
Is this dangerous?
I think it's just smoke.
There's no danger of other buildings. Is the air conditioner turned off in the room? And the windows closed in the bedroom?
Near the area are an absolute crazy situation. The entire top of the building just collapsed.
The entire building is collapsed.
Building just collapsed.
They're gone. The World Trade Center is no more. We do not know at this point the extent of injuries or casualties, how many people were in these buildings trying to get out. We've seen some gut wrenching.
Oh, people are running away. They're running away. What are they going to do? You guys got to run away.
In the days following the destruction of the towers, rescuers found scorch marks, likely made by a cutting torch, on a basement doorway underneath 4WTC. This was thought to be the result of looters. Further exploration of the building's basement revealed that the vault contained large amounts of gold and silver in the form of coins, as well as gold and silver bars. An armored truck operated by Comex was also located below the World Trade Center, among the other vehicles, which was fully loaded with gold and silver bars. In order to retrieve the bullion from the vault, electricity had to be supplied to its doors, which had withstood the force of the destruction above them.
More developments tonight in the investigation. For the first time, we get a look at the hijackers just hours before their reign of terror. Mass murderers caught on camera. This surveillance photo shows hijacker Muhammad Atta catching a plane in Portland for a connection to Boston. Federal authorities say it was there he hijacked a jet and crashed it into the World Trade Center.
Here we are, it's September the 19th, it's 2001, Wednesday. It's 1 week and 1 day since the terrorists attacked New York and Washington, and we're going to a big patriotic rally at Community Field, right guys?
Yes.
Right.
Comforting those who have lost loved ones. We will persevere through this national tragedy and personal loss. In time, we will find healing and recovery. And in the face of this evil, we remain strong and united.
Introducing Mario Kart Super Circuit only on Game Boy Advance. 4 can play off one gamepad.
Max Keeble's Big Move.
Hi, I'm Ernie Bjork.
And I'm Wendy Brockman. At this time of need, WB2 News continues its community commitment. In response to our recent national tragedy, WB2 Charities and its local McCormick Tribune Foundation partners...
It may be a game, but playtime's over. Yu-Gi-Oh! Premieres next Saturday at 11:30, 10:30 Central and Pacific.
Here in Orchard, New Jersey, and our boats did a lot of that too. We transported 30,000 people on that day, evacuated them from Manhattan. And you know, it wasn't just those Twin Towers. About 7 buildings were completely destroyed, demolished here at Lower Manhattan. And in a minute, you're going to see a building. Well, first of all, you're going to see a building that's an oval-shaped green glass building. And it's called the Winter Garden, and it's not a very high building.
A According to the New York Times, by September 24, 2001, more than 100,000 tons of debris had been removed from the site. Some structural engineers have criticized the decision to recycle the steel from the buildings before it could be analyzed as part of the post-collapse investigation. Some of the steel was reused for memorials. New York City firefighters donated a cross made of steel from the World Trade Center to the Shanksville Volunteer Fire Company in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. The beam, mounted atop a platform shaped like the Pentagon, was erected outside the Shanksville Firehouse near the crash site of United Airlines Flight 93. 24 tons of the steel was used in the construction of USS New York. LPD-21 came from the small amount of rubble from the World Trade Center preserved for posterity.
Another important part that we have to figure out how to cope with is how to speak in words of tolerance. A lot of the early adult anger has been directed toward groups of people or people who look like the enemy. How do adults regulate their speech so they are sending the correct messages to children?
I like to think of us human beings as one family. And to be able to help children, and very young children really think that, that we're all related. It takes a lot of careful training for very young children to be prejudiced.
A new crusade and Jewish campaign led by America. And the Taliban's mysterious Mullah Omar issued a threat of his own, saying America faces a vain and bloody war. To end terrorism, he said the U.S. must withdraw its forces from the Gulf and end its bias in Palestine.
Long-range bombers are now in position on the Indian Ocean island of Diego Garcia, and B-2 stealth bombers are on strip alert at their base in Missouri, ready for airstrikes against targets in Afghanistan. But nobody expects to win the war on terrorism or capture Osama bin Laden from the air. Special operations forces could be used for hit-and-run raids against terrorist camps in Afghanistan, but the real foot soldiers are likely to be rebels fighting to overthrow the Taliban regime with the help of both the CIA and Russia. Even before the airliner attacks, the CIA and Russia had been aiding the anti-Taliban rebels who control territory in northern Afghanistan.
Trade Center search teams are still meticulously going through the ruins. Mayor Rudolph Giuliani said today, again, that it would take a miracle to find anyone alive, but he hasn't called off the rescue effort. As of today, there are 271 confirmed dead in New York, more than 6,400 missing. The city is easing rules for issuing death certificates to allow families of the missing to collect insurance and other benefits sooner.
When you go to the site, the first thing you see is more than 2,000 workers on the scene, and their most important priority right now is trying to find air pockets under the ground, because that's where survivors could potentially be. They tell us, and this surprised me, that there are literally hundreds of these air pockets. Some are as big as a room, others are very tiny. They bring dogs down there, they bring cameras down there, and then when it's deemed safe, people go down there to look to see if they could find anybody.
It's been 2 weeks now, 2 full weeks, and do they expect, or are they just living on hope and prayer here?
There is no evidence whatsoever there are any survivors down there.
message for our military. Be ready. I've called the armed forces to alert, and there is a reason. The hour is coming when America will act, and you will make us proud.
The Soviet Union left Afghanistan in 1989. Soon, the Taliban would be the only ones left standing. Their first act was the public execution and hanging of the former president and his brother.
The Taliban, I think, are the leftovers of any very long-running war. The society is totally destroyed. The country is devastated. You get a generation of young people who know nothing but violence, nothing but war, and essentially these are the Taliban.
Back when I was there, they were roaming bands of young men in from the provinces, swarming the streets, mostly illiterate, all of them armed.
It's a Kalashnikov. They pick up a gun as a child would pick up a toy. They are sharpshooters by the time they're 6 or 7 years old.
1 in 4 children die before they're 5. Cholera, typhoid run rampant.
People in northern Afghanistan were willing to work for 38 cents a day.
So if there is one clear villain, there may be many losers if the U.S. rains bombs on Afghanistan. I'll never forget what one of those brave women whispered to me through her veil. God go with you, she said, and tell the world our veils conceal our tears.
America strikes back. Afghanistan is pounded with bombs and missiles from the air and sea.
We are supported by the collective will of the world.
Homeland Security has stepped up to protect against retaliation, and bin Laden himself sends a videotaped threat to the American people.
حدث لها هو بسبب هذه السياسة إلى شرف الجهاد واستغفر الله لي ولكم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره وهبت رياح التغيير لإزالة الباطل من جزيرة محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. وأما أمريكا فأقول لها ولشعبها كلمات معدودة. أقسم بالله العظيم الذي رفع السماء بلا عمد لن تحلم أمريكا ولا من يعيش في أمريكا بالأمن قبل أن نعيشه واقعا في فلسطين وقبل أن تخرج جميع الجيوش الكافرة من أرض محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. والله أكبر والعزة للإسلام والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Tape of Osama bin Laden discussing the September 11th attacks. The tape includes subtitles provided by the U.S. government.
Now we're at Times Square. Now I don't know where we're going. We're crossing this big street here.
They got GameCube and stacked.
Is everybody hungry?
Yes.
Think we have a pizza. Oh, this is Tavern on the Green at night. Lots of lights. And we have a little horse carriage coming by.
Detail, present, Holmes!
Thank you, John. I want to spend a little time talking about the big challenges our nation faces, starting with an unrelenting drive to defend our freedom. We found a bunch of al-Qaeda killers recently, bunched up in Afghanistan, and our military went after them. And we're making good progress. It is a sign of what's going to happen for a while. And my fellow Americans must understand that we'll be relentless and determined to do what is right, and we will take loss of life.
Plans for the World Trade Center rebuilding started in July 2002, which was headed by the Lower Manhattan Development Corporation. There were rounds of proposals on how to rebuild the World Trade Center. However, many of the early schemes were criticized for lacking creativity. Insert clip of Donald Trump here.
If we rebuild the World Trade Center in the form of a skeleton, Freedom Tower, the terrorists win. We want to rebuild the World Trade Center as the World Trade Center, but better. A little bit taller, a lot stronger, just plain better.
There was division among members of the public, architects, and political leadership as to what an appropriate new World Trade Center would look like. Several architects were chosen and replaced throughout the planning and design process. There were issues with implementing the early designs. By 2006, all architects for the site had been chosen, and designs were largely finalized in 2007. On January 30th, 2007, Ground Zero workers and groups such as Sierra Club and Unsung Heroes Helping Heroes met at the pile and urged President George W. Bush to spend more money on aid for sick Ground Zero workers. They said that the $25 million that Bush promised for the ill workers was inadequate. A Long Island iron worker, John Serrazzo, at the protest rally said, "Why has it taken you 5.5 years to meet with us, Mr. President?"
Oh, my fucking one, dude. Ceasefire! Ceasefire!
Hey, you can still be happy to hear you, dude. Hey, was it worth it or what?
Dude, look at we fucked those people all the shit down there.
What are you looking at, punk? You got a problem?
Before Obama came along, we didn't have any successful radical Islamic terrorist attack in the United States. They all started when Clinton and Obama got into office.
A May 14, 2007 New York Times article, Ground Zero Illness Clouding Giuliani's Legacy, gave the interpretation that thousands of workers at Ground Zero had become sick and that regard Mr. Giuliani's triumph of leadership as having come with a human cost. The article reported that the mayor seized control of the cleanup of the pile, taking control away from established federal agencies, such as Federal Emergency Management Agency, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. He instead handed over responsibility to the largely unknown City Department of Design and Construction. Documents indicate that the Giuliani administration never enforced federal requirements requiring the wearing of respirators. Concurrently, the administration threatened companies with dismissal if cleanup work slowed. Workers at the pile worked without proper respirators. They wore painters' masks or no facial covering. Specialists claim that the only effective protection against toxins, such as airborne asbestos, is a special respirator. New York Committee for Occupational Safety and Health industrial hygienist David Newman said, quote, "I was down there watching people working without respirators. Others took off their respirators to eat. It was a surreal, ridiculous, unacceptable situation," unquote. The local EPA office sidelined the regional EPA office. Dr. Kate Jenkins, a whistleblower EPA scientist, said that on September 12, 2001, a regional EPA office offered to dispatch 30 to 40 electron microscopes to the pile to test bulk dust samples for the presence of asbestos fibers. Instead, the local office chose the less effective polarized light microscopy testing method. Dr. Jenkins alleged that the local office refused and said, "We don't want you fucking cowboys here. The best thing they could do is reassign you to Alaska." Firefighters, police, and their unions criticized Mayor Rudy Giuliani over the issue of protective equipment and illnesses after the attacks. A study by the National Institute of Environmental Safety and Health said that cleanup workers lacked adequate protective gear. The executive director of the National Fraternal Order of Police reportedly said of Giuliani, "Everybody likes a Churchillian kind of leader who jumps up when the ashes are still falling and takes over. But 2 or 3 good days don't expunge an 8-year record." Sally Regenhard said, "There's a large and growing number of both FDNY families, FDNY members, former and current, and civilian families who want to expose the true failures of the Giuliani administration when it comes to 9/11. Officials with the International Association of Firefighters have also criticized Rudy Giuliani for failing to support modernized radios that might have spared the lives of more firefighters. Some firefighters never heard the evacuation orders and died in the collapse of the towers.
The World Trade Center, tower number 1 is on fire. The whole outside of the building, there was just a huge explosion. Brown, Mayday, Liberty and West. 1060. Send every available ambulance, everything you got to the World Trade Center now. You have a second plane into the other tower of the Trade Center, major fire.
All units be advised, if you're in the area of the tower, the north tower is leaning. Move your operations north of the tower.
Coming down, building's coming down. One of the buildings is partially collapsed, and the whole entire area tank. Chief Brown, Mayday, Liberty and West, I'm trapped in the rubble. William Liberty. After the building collapsed, we are in total blackness with a cardiac arrest patient on the street. We have no way to get out of here. Visibility is none, and we're not able to breathe right here.
To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to rend, a time to sow, a time for love, a time for hate. A time for peace, I swear it's not too late.